Good evening. Welcome to Ignite Your Soul Connection. This is 7.5, which means that this is the seventh season and a half that we are bringing to you this free teleconference as a gift from our community of Masterforce. And it's our intention that it gives you more essence about connecting to your own soul. This year's topic, or this season's topic, is all about the New Earth children. Some of you may have New Earth children and don't even know it, and you may have run into challenges that you didn't even realize were about New Earth children. So tonight we're going to be talking to some of our executive coaches, Iccha, Devi, and Timothy Glenn, and you'll get to meet them in just a few minutes. And we're going to tell you how to use astrological natal charts and love destiny cards in helping to get a more thorough understanding or understanding about who your child is, not only to you, but to the whole universe. Because children have come here to help us to grow, change, and develop. Okay? So we're going to jump back right in. I want to introduce to you our speakers for tonight, and then we'll start off with the topic of natal charts. Now, some of you may want to actually get pen and paper, take notes, so that you can have, if you have questions as we go along, you may not be able to interrupt, but if you write your question down, you'll have an opportunity to have it answered, even if it's not on this stream. There'll be another chance for you to have your questions answered on Friday when we do a session just for parents and guardians answering your questions through the whole week. So make sure you have something to take notes with, all right? So let's start off by meeting our speakers for tonight. And I want to first introduce to you Timothy Glenn, who is also our Masterforce Coach of the Year. Welcome, Timothy. How are you?
Blessings. I tell you, man, it's such a great honor to be here tonight. Such a great honor to receive that reward. And I'm going to take this time to thank you personally and all of the Masterforce coaches for your support. I'm telling you, so many more coaches I feel are just more deserving of that reward. So, I honor all of you in that, and that you gave me the space to use what little gift I have to offer. and move. It's such a great vision. You should be so proud of what is evolving and shifting, and I'm so happy to be here, and I'm happy for you as well.
Very cool. Now, just tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll go and introduce Iccha before we actually go into the topic. Just give us a little bit about you and how you got on this path, and even how you got into doing astrological readings.
Sure. Wow. Well, my name is Timothy Glenn, and I am a co-founder of the Leadership Institute for Transformation and Empowerment, better known as LIGHT. That is an organization to where we have committed ourselves to the evolution of the planet and mankind. And that includes every being on that surface. I've been on this path, I think it's around 27 years now. I started when I was a teenager, went through many paths. Some may not know I am an ordained minister as well. Started out in the church. That is my foundation. And I am delighted and so proud of that foundation, which gave me the power and develop my intuitive gifts that I can do, what I'm doing now. So me and my wife, we started LIGHT back in 2001. And we've been doing that ever since. And we have such a great community around LIGHT. I want to take some time to thank them as well. If you're watching, or if you're watching later, thank you all so much as well. As you know, my wife does an excellent job in what she does and helping LIGHT live up to its responsibility. As it relates to the astrology, that is such a interesting path to talk about, because my wife, she is such a powerful intuitive as well. And she has always said, Timothy, I think astrology would probably be your niche to kind of glue everything that you've learned and experienced together. So I fought it, right? Because astrology is nothing that I really wanted to do. Matter of fact, I thought it was boring. I was very skeptical of that science, and it just wasn't anything I wanted to do. And one night I had a dream that I was outside. It felt like noonday. You know, you have these dreams, you just kind of feel what time it is. Well, I felt like it was noon. Plus the sun was at its peak. And all of a sudden the stars began to unfold as the sun was out, right? So when I saw that, I immediately knew something was wrong because the dream became extremely lucid.
Mm.
And then I heard the sound of Om in the background. After that, a wind came and knocked me off my feet. And I remember holding on to some type of structure. And when it got to a point where I couldn't hold on anymore, and that's when I woke up.
Wow.
And it wasn't probably 2 hours later, I bought my first astrology book. I said, and then after that, I got to give a shout out to one of our students here named Heather. Every time Heather would come down, she would buy me an astrology book over 7 years ago. I had to dust those books off, right?
Wow.
So I bought my little book, and then I had to dust her books off. And then I was on the path of astrology.
Wonderful.
So I don't even consider myself as an astrologer, but astrology is definitely a tool of transformation that I love to use when I'm doing my work.
Very cool. Well, we're going to hear more about that, you know, as the night progresses.
Absolutely.
And I want to actually bring Iccha Devi in so we can get
please.
to know who else is with us tonight. We love her energy as well. So tell us a little bit about you, Iccha.
Wow. Greetings, everyone. The divine in me recognizes and honors the divine in you and each of you. Man, I am Iccha Devi Ra. I am also known as your window to the world, to the universe, to everything, because I like to share my gift of, man, I wouldn't even know what to call it. It's such a gift to me. And I mean that literally. It's a gift to me. And so what you all experience of me, and I know people have a good time with their two of clubs, Iccha Devi, and I'll share more about all of that later. But I'm here to be relational and to be love, the love of the universe on the planet. That's why I'm here. I'm here to be the love of God incarnate on the planet. At my best, I am love. I am a positive and motivating force in your life.
That's a song, isn't it?
It is a song, and it's true. It is a song. Yes, it's true as well. Yeah, and that's at my best, and I strive to be at my best and to stay balanced so that I can share this gift that I've been given. And Shemsu-t, it's so interesting. I was just remembering some long years ago, you came to visit me one day at the Quaker house where I used to stay. And I thought that you were just coming over for tea. And that's how a lot of things have gotten started with us. I thought you were just coming over for tea, and you were. And while we were having tea, you broke out these really awesome books. And when I saw these books, I was like, huh? And we started talking. And wow, I think I'm being a little too vague because it's so much. It's so much. So what I want to say more than anything is that I'm very grateful to be here on Ignite Your Soul Connection 7.5. These new earth children are everything. And they are everything. And so to be in any way of service as it relates to connecting with our new earth children, that's what I'm grateful to be here to do. So it'll become more clear, I'm sure, soon.
Yeah, and Iccha, tell people a little bit about your background so that they can know some of the awesome experiences you've had.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm going to turn my device off, which I thought I had already done. but that's cool. Okay. Um, people, I am known as the reluctant vegetarian and also as the alchemist daughter. One of my first loves is sharing culinary arts, and I enjoy to do it. It's such a gift to do it, and anybody who's tasted my food have shared with me that they really enjoy it, and so I love it. I have written three books today that are published, and I'm looking to have them widely published so that everyone can share in the bounty of what I've been gifted to bring forward. Man, so the reluctant vegetarian, that's one part of your Iccha, Devi. The other part of your Iccha, Devi, is the alchemist's daughter. And the alchemist, those are my mom and my dad, so I'm their daughter. So part of my alchemy is culinary alchemy in the kitchen. And part of my alchemy is what I call alchemical kitchen work, making different types of things that go well on the body. So working with different salts and different oils and different combinations of the elements for us to take care of our avatar, utilizing what we've been gifted with naturally. So from that work came the Avatar Maintenance Program, which is a program that we get an opportunity to get the different levels of how to care for this amazing avatar that we have. And when I say avatar, I'm talking about this technological marvel that we have that we sometimes call our body. Well, I call it the avatar. And the Avatar Maintenance Program shows us how to care for it vibrationally and and nurture
cool.
and support it and have it at 100% wellness. So.
Very cool. And we'll be talking more and learn more about that. And I'm sure we'll hear more about the Avatar Maintenance Program, which I love that program. It's made a difference for so many people. So thank you for that. Thank you for all of your gifts, and just hold the space for us because we're going to start off with Timothy. And I'm going to ask you to also take some notes in case what he's talking about, you can, move into what you're going to talk about as well. Okay.
Absolutely. I got my pen ready.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Timothy, you're on.
All right. Let's work.
So let's work. So let's start off with the question, what is an astrological natal chart? What actually is a natal chart?
Sure. Well, you ask any astrologer, you're going to get a different answer every time, right? So, but to me, and from my experience, I call a natal chart the screenshot of God, because every natal chart I see, it is a demonstration and a small glimpse of God's personality in so many shades. When we're born, I believe we choose the time to arrive here. I don't believe that's an accident. I believe it is an extremely premeditated in timing, in the sacred space for us to give our work. I believe the time, whatever time we choose to come here, we take a screenshot of those planets where they were when you were born. And the imprint of that power never changes, even over a lifetime. And that is what a natal chart is to me. When I look at that natal chart, it's more than just seeing what planets are here and there, and then just getting a book or something with a cookie cutter description of that. It's so much more than that. It's so much more than that, because again, I call it a screenshot of God. The different personalities and gifts of God comes through us to perform those. Wow. And I believe the natal chart gives us a glimpse, of what that power is in every individual, to give them an opportunity to choose. Nothing about astrology is fatal. No matter what, if somebody says this is what it is and this is what it's going to be, you want to run from that. But if an astrologer should give you a choice, a door to choose, an opportunity to show up, because just because the natal chart may show greatness doesn't mean that the individual will choose that path in this lifetime.
So then what are the elements that go into making up a natal chart?
Well, when we put together the natal chart, of course, we need the time is important, but not necessary, because there's ways to work around that. So many of us didn't keep our birth certificates, or they were lost, or something, the hospital misplaced them, or the health department can't find them. So we may not have the time, but if you just have the month, the date, and the year, and even the place of your birth, that's more than enough to work with. So we start with that, and then we generate those numbers, and that gives us a time and a place to put the planets in their different houses and their signs on your chart. And that's where we begin our natal. Now, if you got that time, we can look at what your ascendant is. And when we see your ascendant, it gives, the way I perform my astrology, it gives us a glimpse of where we are to ascend to. The sign that will be our highest power. Many people think, well, it's my sun sign. You know, you look on Facebook, well, this is my sun sign. You know, I'm a Leo. Well, I'm a Gemini. Well, I'm a Scorpio. All of those things mean nothing unless you know how to elevate that sun through the ascendant. And not just the ascendant, but on the opposite side, which is where I perform my astrology, is the descendant, which is the opposite sign of whatever your ascendant is, right?
Yeah.
So if Leo is your ascendant, then Aquarius is where I must descend to catapult that power.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, it reminded me of, you know, I guess I'm dating myself back here, but there was a movie when I was younger called Roots.
Yes.
And there was a scene in there when Kuta Kinte was born, and his father held him up to the heavens and said, I present to you my child. And he didn't necessarily name the child at that time, but it was like he was acknowledging the power of what you're saying, the planets and the stars, and recognizing who this child was. So is that kind of what this is talking?
Absolutely, absolutely. And especially since we're dealing with our children, you know, astrology is going to tell us so much about their gifts and how to guide them. Because see, here's the thing, if we don't know how they're made up from a sense of astrology, and I'm not saying astrology is the only tool to find this out, but with astrology, it keeps us from provoking our children. You know, we may want them to do something that makes us feel good, or something that we missed out on and wish we could have done, and we want to live through our children, but we provoke our children to anger if we don't guide them into their own gifts.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah. So astrology for me, I can look at a planet. You know, if you may say, well, I want my son to be an entrepreneur, you know, and that's what he's going to be. He's going to take over the family business, right? Well, he may have Pluto in his second house or the 10th house, which frustrates that. But he may have Venus in his first house, which makes him a gifted artist. And so that means we have to shift our awareness to guide the child to help them perform whatever gift they came here to perform. I always tell my daughter, my job here is not to tell you what to do, but to protect the gift that you have. Whatever it is you say you want to be in life, I'm here to protect that and honor that. Because, you know, it's funny, I bring her up. I'm going to use her tonight, her charts and bits and pieces of what we do. I hope I'm not talking too much, by the way. I'm just...
No, it's your show. Go ahead. No.
I'm just trying to give some foundation to what we want to do. You know, my daughter, she is so interesting. I always wanted her to play basketball. You know, she's so tall and athletic, and all of our generations play basketball. And I said, you know, she's going to go to college. She's going to go to the WNBA, and that girl is going to be all that. And then, you know, at 12 years old, she's like, you know, Dad, I don't want to play basketball. And I'm like, excuse me? Who told you that? And you know, she even had some type of basketball contest where she who could make the most buckets, and she made the most buckets. I said, this is proof of what you're supposed to do. She said, but Dad, I love dance. Dance is what I am. It's who I am. And I had to step back. I had to step back, and sure enough, she has Venus right on the ascendant in the perfect sign of Taurus, which is its home. So yeah, she's a dancer.
Yes, she is.
That's what she is. And I had to get out the way and let that gift come through.
That's wonderful. And, you know, so you're talking so much about Venus and Taurus and ascendants and all that. Tell us, what are the planets and how are we affected by them?
Yes. So when we're dealing with the planets, we have what's called inner planets and what's called outer planets. Your inner planets are going to be your sun, your moon, your Mars, Venus, Mercury, Saturn, Jupiter, all of those, because they kind of shift and move kind of quickly through your chart, right? But your outer planets, such as Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they take quite a long time to move. And this is how we can look at what that child, from an outer planet perspective, what that child's generation is to bring. Like my generation of most of light, all of those that you have met, these brilliant people, we all share Pluto in Libra, all of us. So we are here to bring our gift as it relates to the balance in relationships and the balance of law, not just the physical laws down at your courthouse, but universal laws.
Wow.
We're here to bring balance to that. And, you know, there are those who may have Pluto and Scorpio, but those are generations because they can span anywhere from 5 to 12 years, right? But the inner planets is how we navigate the personality and the behavior. You know, whatever I find Mars, it's letting me know that this is where this child is going to be more competitive at. And maybe we shouldn't challenge this child so much in this area because Mars is so strong, right? Or maybe, you know, the Venus may fall in Virgo, and that kind of weakens the strength. The critical nature of Virgo kind of weakens the strength and the way Venus wants to blossom. So we know that we got to be very careful with that and learn how to nurture the child in a certain way in that area. So that's the way I like to look at planets. The planets tell us exactly what energies are at play. Now, I hope I'm not going too fast, but I'm going to step right in here. I just kind of intuitively going to flow with it. Wherever that planet falls in the house, see, the house tells us where that energy is being used. So we don't have to roll the dice. You know, if I see in my third house, Mercury is in Gemini, which is its perfect place and the home of the third house, then I know that writing books, communication, a heightened gift of communication, even with our gifted children to the point of telepathy, is going to be very active in that child. So when that child comes to me and say, you know, Dad, I was just writing something and I heard a voice out of nowhere saying I should meditate more. Well, I got a choice to make. I can make that child feel like he's crazy because I don't understand what's going on, or I can research and guide that child to embrace that gift of hearing because that Mercury is so strong in his or her chart, right? So that's the way we like to work with houses and planets. You know, I try to keep astrology so simple so anybody can embrace it and take part in it. You know, I don't want to make it so complicated. So if I go overboard tonight, I don't have my wife here to kind of nudge me and say, you're in the mountaintops, bring it down to the valley.
You're doing wonderful. No, you're doing wonderful. And the thing about this is that we're recording it so people can actually go back and look at it. You know, and they can see it again, and then they can go on and do their own research, and then they also can get readings, from you as well.
Absolutely.
But, kind of tell us why you believe it's important for parents to have natal charts done, of their children.
Sure thing. Well, here's the thing. When I take a parent's chart, and I'm not over exaggerating, 10 times out of 10, I'm going to find some relationship with that parent and the child. I had one client whose child is just going through a tough time right now, just so troubled, so defiant, so rebellious. And, the beautiful child is in has like 5 planets in Leo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow. And of course, Leo is my sign, so I'm sensitive to that. And then I look in the parent's chart, and let me talk about nodes a little bit. You're going to have in your chart a north node and a south node, all right? The north node is telling us the lessons that are to be learned right now, that are coming. And the south nodes tell us lessons of the past, even in other lifetimes, that we are carrying over into this nowness, presence time, right? So in the parent's child, I look in the north node, and guess what was there? The sign of Leo.
Mm.
So I'm saying these are your lessons, and I can go through each and every planet. I can go through the Mars in Leo. I can go through the Venus in Leo, the Jupiter in Leo, and and each planet is going to tell me what ways this child is teaching you, because our children come to teach us as we guide them to themselves.
Yes.
It's a mutual agreement that seems so random, because once the drama hits, it's like, we couldn't have orchestrated this mess. Yes, because the infinite awareness knows that through chaos,
yes,
you find the light, you find yourself, you find the structure. If we do it now in time, we want everything to be perfect. We want everything to be great, everything to be just right. The timing got to be just right. The behavior, we just flow so well together. But, who goes to the gym to lift feathers?
Yes.
There has to be some type of resistance in order for us to seek deeper answers within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I see that kind of conflict, it's important that the parent get a chart done so the parent can know themselves and how to get out of the way of that child's progress, and also to know themselves and the lessons that child is bringing to them.
That's so perfect, Timothy. And I'm so grateful that you said that. We really do teach in our courses that our children are young master geniuses
Yes.
that have come to remind us
Absolutely.
of the mission. Like, we got off track, and they were on the other side and looking in and say, look, y'all, I'm coming to remind you that we have stuff to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then their children will come and do the same. And I know that I now have 5 grandchildren that even give me more knowledge of myself. And they literally give me a grounding that's more, it's something I can't even put my finger on it just yet, because they represent such a huge part of life for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unexpected. So when you're talking to parents and you're sharing with them about natal charts and having the charts done for their children, how often should they have these charts done? Is it something that they do once at birth and then they're good? Or, when should they have the charts done?
And here's the thing. This is such a great question. Let me explain why. I do so many charts, right? And it is, I don't know where this mindset really came from, that all I got to do is get one natal reading and that I'm going to coast on that the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. Well, I need everyone to understand, if we did your chart once a month for the next 5 years, I still couldn't complete the totality of who you are as an individual.
Wow.
There are so many things to look at, we look at the planets and their signs. We look at the planets in the degrees of that sign. We look at the planets in the houses they are in. We look at the aspects. How does your sun relate to Uranus? How does your sun relate to Pluto? How does all of these things fall into place to where you are now? So we can even do transits, which gives us a real-time awareness of how long you're going to be going through some challenges. Could be 2 hours, it could be 2 months, could be 2 years. We don't know. And then we could do what's called a progress chart, which, so, you know, if, for instance, I was born a Leo, but a progress chart can take the years that I've been alive and apply it in the form of days on an astrology chart and progress my chart. So now I could be a Virgo.
Wow.
I'm on the brink of being actually a Libra in real time.
Wow.
So, you know, you may go through times where I don't feel like a Sagittarius anymore. I feel kind of like, you know, a Capricorn now. Well, you probably have progressed with the energy, with the astrology. And keep in mind, even with children, you know, at that young age, very few planets are moving, but the moon changes every 2.5 years in a progress chart. So our emotional awareness changes every so often as well, right? So it's so many things you can do to learn about astrology and learn about yourself. Just getting one natal chart is like reading the first chapter of a book and think you understand the book in its totality. So you really want to keep reading the chapters, and we can go on and on and on. And if you ever had a reading done by me, you know, I take anywhere from 4 to 5 to 6 hours to sit and intuit the channel of what it is that needs to be addressed on that chart. I have certain people, you know, they're like, well, don't you have some paperwork you can give us? Well, no, because you're not a robot. Okay, I'm not going to give you just a printout and say, here you go, you know, and run with God, right? No, every time that we meet is a sacred experience. I tell all of my clients, take 5 to 10 minutes to sit in stillness, and I'm going to do the same so that we can connect our channel to say what needs to be said. And that's the difference between the entertainment value of astrology and the transformational value of astrology. I'm not here to entertain. I'm here to address your issues of transformation, you know? So that's my goal with it. So anytime you feel you need a chart, call an astrologer, you know, and make sure that they are doing the work themselves and not just for a paycheck. Because, you know, you can't really put a value on self-knowledge, right? You know, so I don't tend to do that myself. If someone calls me, I take that as a sacred duty to give that person exactly what they need to hear and not what they want to hear. Some people come with very challenging charts. They don't call me again because they're like, okay, you're telling me Pluto is active and all the transformation, and then I got to go through this. That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear what my lottery numbers are.
Yeah.
All right. I want to hear where is my girlfriend at? Where's my man at? You know, please help me. Well, listen, people, if you're going to attract the chaos of your chart anyway, why not know who you are?
Yeah.
So in life, you don't attract what you don't want. You want to attract where you're ascending to.
Wow. So let's do a little work here for people. How would you actually use a natal chart to guide children? And then, you know, we're talking about new earth children. And when we're referring to new earth children, we mean the indigos, the rainbow, the crystals, the star seeds. And many of them started coming in droves in the 70s and the 80s. We had some earlier precursors to kind of, you know, get things ready, because I myself I'm a golden indigo. You know, I was born in 58. Yeah, and but I didn't know until I was in my late 40s that I was an indigo. But when I had a reading done, and you look back, they're like, "Oh yeah, you've been breaking the rules and and pioneering the beginning." So I can see that now. And so how would people use these natal charts to guide children and who are here now?
Absolutely. The first thing I want to look at when someone believes their child might be gifted, And well, every child is gifted, but some children wake up a little quicker than others. And if you feel your child is waking up to that gift, the three things I look at are the outer chart, outer planets, I'm sorry, which are going to be Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, right? So if a child is performing maybe bad in school, so-called bad, they're disruptive, the conventional means of education, they're becoming bored and disrupting the class, or they're combative with the teacher, or maybe they're combative with you. The first thing I want to look at, okay, let me see where Uranus is in the chart, because wherever Uranus is going to show me their level and area of rebellion. Every time it's going to show me what they're here to change, what they're here to do to awaken. And Uranus plays a great part in those children as well. Maybe there's a child who is constantly having dreams, constantly hearing messages, maybe telling you things that they couldn't have possibly known, even in other lives. Or you may notice a psychic awareness about these children. They just have a knowledge of the psychic gifts and intuitive gifts. I want to look at Neptune. Whatever Neptune is in your chart, Neptune is in Aquarius for my daughter, and Neptune is conjunct, which means it's conjunct her midheaven, which means it's right on top of the midheaven when you hear about a conjunction. So Aquarius is really the move that's happening now. It is speeding our awareness up in group forms. Now groups are finding each other. That lets me know that my daughter is going to have a part in that with Neptune. Now with Neptune, it's an interesting planet because she either buries herself in illusion or she dissolves the illusion itself. Now, if I don't empower her gift, she becomes shadowed by the illusion and maybe go off to believing stories about herself that reinforces a victim mindset, the things that she have been through, the challenges that she have been through. And these gifted children are coming through with challenges. They've been through, some children I meet have been through more at 12 than most adults at 70. And you gotta be able to not let them fall victim, and my purpose is not to just instruct, but to remind them. What you went through is no surprise to your soul. It's only a surprise to the ego, which is shocked in the moment. But we're not going to stay in the victim mindset. We're going to see exactly what that means. So now Neptune becomes a destroyer of all illusions, to see truth as it is.
Wow.
And that's kind of the way I had to guide it with my daughter. She's been through so many challenges that now I understand why. And the next thing, you may have a child of quantum physics, right? He may not be interested in going to church and Sunday school, but he may have a quantum physics magazine, and everything that we thought to be real, he is just shattering that by itself. Well, then I want to look at Pluto for that child. That child's strength may be very strong in Pluto. And let me tell you something about these children. They don't know how to soften the message up. If they see something wrong, they don't care who's around. They don't believe in being politically correct. They don't care if you're at church or the grocery store. They're gonna let mom and dad know something ain't right about that Susie. Or something's not right about what that preacher said. It doesn't feel right. And we have a choice there. Shut up and just listen and obey. Which is going to cause Pluto to become very active. Or you can be like, son, let's talk about this when we get home. And because I really want to hear and understand what you meant by that. And then that child can express him or herself. And then you have a choice right then. You can either guide that child into where these emotions are coming from so they can learn to temper them and understand there's a time and a place for everything, even with transformation. Or you can just abuse them, beat them into conforming and obeying. Either way, Pluto is going to become active. I can guarantee you, you can go to your local prison, your local jail, and there are so many people with their Pluto that wasn't nurtured.
Wow.
You know, and they acted out in violence because they could no longer repress the energies of Pluto.
Wow, that's really great. I think we have to do some work on that. I hadn't heard that quite like that before.
Mm-hmm.
So the Pluto is not nurtured, and it literally fires the rebellion and the resistance.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also in Uranus as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Neptune children, where Neptune is strong, they tend to go in. They tend to go inward with their gifts. These are the psychic awareness children right here. They tend to go inward and maybe not express themselves. Many children that I see that are labeled as autistic, I can guarantee you Neptune is so strong in that chart with psychic awareness. There's communication going on, but you're not tuned in.
Wow.
You're not tuned in because your information is so outdated.
Yeah.
Is so outdated that you need to catch up to these children. If you have an autistic child, you're going to have to catch up to the way communication is going now, you know? So, yeah, you know.
Well, and it's so great you're saying that because literally, if we go through the Western way of looking at this and not the metaphysical, the Western way tells us there's something wrong with your child.
Yes.
We need to put them on this medication, and this medication, they're going to have to be on it the rest of their life. And that's the way you're going to maintain it. And then we can look at the metaphysical way, the soul work. The soul have come to give us an insight into ourselves. So the child being autistic gives us some work to do.
Yes.
You said we have to catch up. Well, sit down and that conversation would be deep by itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's deep in the sense that even though the parents of an autistic child may be overwhelmed and feel like they're not ready, this child chose you for a reason. It chose you because you have the spiritual capacity to adjust. These gifted children, they don't choose parents that have a solid Saturn, that just so rigid. They choose parents that, you know, a lot of times have a powerful planets in the sign of Gemini, or mutable planets, Gemini, Virgo, or Pisces. These are mutable signs that can adjust at the drop of a dime. And I'm seeing these children choose these type of parents that can adjust and and you know, kind of nurture their own awakening, you know. And again, the awakening is not always about the child. Sometimes it's about the parent as well.
I think it's mostly about the parent.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, because literally, when we make the adjustment, the child automatically flow into their way of being.
Absolutely.
You know, it's I love Khalil Gibran. He says that you know, these children, you know, they're not ours. They might come through us. You know, but we can't live in there tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, so we have to be willing to let them show us what that looks like. You know, and I think in secret, that's what keeps us really balanced inside of youthing, you know, staying relevant to life.
Yes.
Because if you don't listen to the children, you literally dissolve yourself.
Absolutely.
That's powerful.
So true.
Yeah. So, you know, I want to ask one last question before we go over to Iccha. We're not done talking to you, but I want to bring her into this. But what would you say is the main hindrance to a child's growth?
Parents.
Yeah.
Parents.
Say more about that.
And I'm not exaggerating, over exaggerating. I am telling you, every time there's a conflict with me working with a child, it has never been the child. The children love the awareness that they're growing into. But the parents have an idea of what they want that child to be already.
Yes, they do.
And once you have an idea of what that child is,
in your mind,
and what you have defined that child is going to be, you make it very hard for that. Because look, the child wants to please his parents.
Yes.
And the child will even forsake its own gift
Yep.
to make peace with a parent
Yep.
who don't even know themselves.
Wow.
So my thing is, parents, if you have a child that you know has awakened to his or her gift, if you call me, I'm asking you in advance, are you willing to get out the way so that we can see the light that is trying to shine on your child and not being just a shadow of you in the way?
Yeah.
That is it's not that the child is so bad. It's not that the child is not intelligent enough to hear these advanced technologies that I'm bringing to them. It's that the parents have molded that child even in the womb.
Yes.
Of what that child is going to be. And whatever that child is going to be, he or she is going to be with or without you.
Yeah.
They may behave and walk the line in your presence, but soon enough, Uranus may start to act up in that child's chart, and that child's going to want separation from you so that he or she can find him or herself. And that's the beauty of, like I said, having a chart. And when I can find a willing parent, it's the most beautiful experience in the world.
Wow.
Mood, I'm telling you, it just warms my heart when a parent can just say, okay, I trust the process.
Mm-hmm.
I trust the process, and I want to get out the way, and I want this child to be whatever this child is supposed to be. Then you see the gifts. It seems like time speeds up for the child.
Yes.
What would take 5 years will now take 1 month.
Yeah.
Because that child has the freedom to awaken without judgment and criticism.
Acceptance is a beautiful thing.
It is. And you know, if you wonder why the child is so apprehensive in being free, watch how you as a parent is judging and criticizing your child's position in life and his or her perception of life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you may say, well, I don't want my child to be like this, because if my child's like this, he's going to get picked on and she's going to get picked on. But you don't understand why the child showed up in the first place. And what you're telling me tells me more about you than the child.
Yes.
Right? So again, this is why getting the parents' chart done and the child's chart is so beneficial, because we can see how to get out of each other's way and nurture each other. As a parent, you learn what you're supposed to learn from the child, and the child has the freedom to take off his or her shell and express him or herself the way they want to.
You're speaking so much truth, Timothy. I have met many parents or many adults, 40 and 50 years old, who have never did what they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times people are not free until their parents die. Wow. And then they can choose their life. Sometimes they're going on to get degrees, spending tons of money on doctors, becoming doctors and all this, and hate it. Yes. But their parent wanted them to be a doctor or a lawyer or a minister, whatever it was.
There you go.
And they had never felt satisfaction. Then they end up being sick.
Right.
And they die young. You see?
Wow. So true.
So, you know, what we're saying here is we're giving people an opportunity to not parent in that fashion.
Yes.
To choose a different path and to use the tools that we're sharing. And so now I want to go ahead and bring Iccha in.
Yes.
And then, right. Thank you. I'll be right back. So you take some notes too with Iccha so we can see how to blend this in at the end. Okay.
Let's go.
All right. And as we move over to Iccha, I do want to make an announcement. We have a summer program coming up called ACES. We actually go from July 10th until August 24th. The cost of the course is only $20 a day, which turns out to be $600 for that 6-week period. We have a payment plan that you can actually make, and the children will learn so many powerful aspects of their being, including meditation, including visualization, and knowing about high quality nutrition. So you can go over to our website, themasterforce.com. We have more information there, and you can also register at that place too. Okay, so now I want to bring Iccha Devi in, and Iccha is actually going to talk to us about, can you unmute yourself, Iccha? There you go. She's going to, yes, there. Hello again.
Hello again.
Wasn't there some juicy stuff, Timothy? I was like, wow, we could go.
Man, you already know.
Ideas popping. Yes.
Everywhere. I was taking notes.
Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about how we use the destiny cards with the New Earth children, and what are destiny connections, and how does that relate to anything that Timothy was talking about?
Okay. So, Brother Timothy, thank you for opening up the door.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to walk right through and we're going to meet in there and have a little discussion, right?
Yes.
So what are destiny connections? Destiny connections are when you take the energy of the destiny cards, and I'll share something about that. When you take the energy of the destiny cards, there's a specific card that I have. I am a 2 of clubs. However, everything progresses, just like a progressed chart. There is a different energy that I hold today. So when we look at the different energy that I hold today, there is a connection between who I am, a 2 of clubs, and this energy that I hold today. So that is my first destiny connection, my connection to myself and the energy that I hold and the day of the week that it is. Because I'm Wednesday born, Wednesday is always going to be a Mercury day for me. So that's, again, a destiny connection, right? So that's the beginning of that. But then I have my family, because we're talking about families now, right?
Yes.
So I have my family, and I have relationships with my family based upon who we are to each other. So when I look at the fact that I am born as a 2 of clubs, that means that my solar age, like the age that I incarnate at, I'm a 15-year-old. I am a teenager. So that means all day I'm a teenager. So that means I'm rebellious. I want to know it for myself. I have to know for myself. So when it comes to learning new things, that's naturally the way that I will approach it. I can access any of the energies to bring it to mastery and to, get the work done. However, to know where I'm coming from is what can give context. So one of the things that I know about my family constellation is that I know that we chose the way, just like Timothy said, we chose how we would incarnate. Myself and my brothers and sisters, there are 4 of us, and we're equally divided. You're only going to get that when you get a Virgo mom and a Sagittarius dad, okay? Because my brothers and sisters and I, we are 2 8s and 2 2s.
Wow.
Okay? So we are deeply related to each other, and we're a very powerful unit. If you have met or seen any of my siblings, you know what I say to be true. And that is really actually true. And it is true of all of us. So when we start to look at our family constellation, then we could start to really get clear to that for ourselves, and we could really stand in empowerment and in our knowing, because it does make a difference. One of the things that I've known is that I've known since I got into this body, I know that the universe has been speaking to me. I said there has to be a reason why my sisters and I are named April, May, and June. And I am May, but I'm the youngest. It doesn't make sense to me. I said, universe, please speak to me. Well, I want you to know that the reason why is that April, May, and June, myself and my 2 sisters, the sister that's named June, even though in this world she's older than me, on a solar level, on our soul level, she's younger than me.
Wow.
She's the baby. So there is a divine.
What's her card, Iccha?
She's a 2 of hearts.
Wow, she's a baby.
She's a baby. She's like a little toddler. And on top of that, she shared something with me. She said, Rocky, you notice you never got sick when I was around. And what she meant by that is she was always present to me in a relational way. And she, on a soul level, part of our soul's plan, she said, I'll go first because she's not ready. So even though her soul is younger than mine, she agreed to incarnate first. Do you know what kind of love that makes between me and my sister?
Yes. Wow.
I've always felt something, but now I actually have technology that shows me why I feel the way I do about my family. It's such a liberating feeling. And so when we do our family constellation, we get a chance to sit inside of that. Could you imagine how that would feel? One of the things you know about yourself, Shemsu, you're a master. You came here to do it from the word go. You know, because of how you incarnated, your birthday, you are a queen of spades. That card is self-mastery, right?
Right.
Your planetary ruling card is a king of clubs. You make the finest mental distinctions. That's why you can hold the energy of master force. You in and of yourself are a kingdom. Inside of yourself, you're a queen and a king.
Wow.
The level of divinity that it takes to hold the energy of master force to start it and to be able to be patient enough to wait for relational beings and wait for big lions to show up and wait for fire starters to show up and wait for Libra scales to show up.
Wow.
You had to be a kingdom by yourself first.
Wow.
Can you see that, Shemsu?
I can see that. That is so powerful, Iccha. Yes, that is very powerful. And you know, that really probably goes right into the question that I have, because you hinted at it before. You talked about soul plans.
Yes, ma'am.
So the way that you incarnated and you were able to see how you fit in with your sister, was that part of your soul plan, and the way that I came in as the queen and the king and the builder and all that? Is that so? Tell us more about the soul plan, and how does everybody find out about that?
Absolutely. So here we go. Before we came into manifest reality, we were non-formed. We decided that we were going to jump into Penda. We're going to jump in and we're going to incarnate. Because of how highly connected we are in our soul, we decided that we were going to agree to teach each other lessons, to show up for each other, to be reminders, to be way showers to each other, to humanity. We all agreed that we would take place in this big divine dance so that we could have an experience other than just being one. Wow. Because God is one, we are one, right? I wanted to do something different than that, so I put on my blue dress today, right? I put on my pink lipstick today in my Shemsu self. So before we came into being, we chose what we were going to learn during this time frame, who would show up with each other, and we all agreed to it. So on one level, there's somebody that I agreed to have an awakening with. They said, oh, we're in our soul self, you know, before we get our bodies. And we're in our soul self and we're having our pre-birth meeting. And so it's my meeting. And I'm saying to an energy that's going to show up for me, hey, I would like for you to show up and show me what unconditional love is. There's so many ways that could occur. So we picked some variables and we agree to do it. Sometimes it could be something that's challenging. And they'll be like, no, 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 I don't want to agree to show up and do that. That will be painful. I don't want to agree to that. Our soul desires that we grow. So whatever part of our soul needs to show up in a certain way for us when we haven't been able to hear the softer lessons, sometimes it'll show up in a more challenging way.
Wow.
And so what has happened sometimes is if we don't remember that we agreed to come here in full knowing, then we will pretend that this person has taken something from us, when they just came to show us the value of knowing what you have. So if you're not knowing that and being inside of that and manifesting that in a way that your own soul feels is sufficient, then you'll show up in a way to remind yourself, be humble, be mindful of what it is that you have. Unconditional love is yours. Life is for you, but we'll make it about the other person and we'll react to them. All of the work is inside. And when I am related to knowing that I had an agreement and my soul's plan, I like the way Timothy said it, the screenshot of God, the way things were set up when I chose to incarnate. This is a part of our soul's plan. So you can see that both of those go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Timothy and I are utilizing different ends of the same science.
Just different technologies, yes. So then how then would you say the indigo child, the crystal child, the rainbow, how do they fit into our soul plan as a society right now? How are they fitting in? What are they doing here?
Oh my God, these are the most miraculous beings that we've ever experienced. Because what they are doing is that they're taking the technology and the DNA of who we are and who we know ourselves to be, and they're expanding it and exponentializing it. The way that I like to explain it to 70s babies and before is this. You can remember when we were little, that the first way that we would talk to each other is, well, if you were lucky, you had a phone in your house or your neighbor had a phone, right? so that's taking it wherever it can go. Everybody get in right there. So we'll have that be the starting point. So then at first you got to do the dial like this to call your friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you remember all the numbers up here and everything, right? Because it's only so many numbers, no big deal, whatever. So then time progresses and progresses and progresses. If you, Iccha Devi, I'm deeply relational, so I'm relating things to myself. So if you, Iccha Devi, and your 4-year-old self saw a vision of you holding something with a picture on it that wasn't connected to anything and you could talk, you wouldn't believe it. You would not believe it. You got the great big old TV in the house at home when you're 6 years old and it's big and fat. You wouldn't believe that you could watch TV on this thing. What is that thing? It's nothing behind it. It's not connected. It would look like magic to you. That's what these children are for us. They have even more in store than we could ever imagine, because the technological advances that they have available to them upon incarnation, we still writing our research papers with our note cards. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I got note cards. I love them.
I do too.
My babies, they note cards. They taking note cards in the sky. That's what we got to look forward to. Those are our children. That's these rainbows and crystals and indigos and pre-indigos and golden indigos and like that.
Then how do you actually use the destiny card system to connect to our young people? How do we use that system to connect to them?
First and foremost is acknowledging who they are in their first beingness. So, Shemsu-t, you are a queen of spades. So the first thing that I would know about you, even if I couldn't know anything else, just the fact that I know you are queen of spades, I know that in your soul, you're never going to be a little girl. You're a little girl. Your little girl does get to play. However, your soul came here at an elevated level. You're an adult. You're beyond an adult. Actually, you're an elder just in your birth. So this is before anything else. So the first way that we can relate to them is knowing that if you have hearts, you have like a little young person. So they'll be inside of that energy of being a young person, okay, from 1 to 13. If you have a club, then you know that that's your teenage years. That's when you first start in school and going away to school, right? Those are the school years from 14, like a little beyond school, regular primary school, right? So then if you have a diamond, then you have an adult. It will be challenging in any way to tell them what to do. And if you have a spade, you have an elder. Follow them wherever they go. Do what they say.
That's so interesting, Iccha, because my new grandson is a 6 of spades.
Yes,
and
he is.
man, he is
All
an
day.
elder all day. 46. He came out 46, and you can look
I
at this
saw him.
dude.
I saw him in the door.
In the door. I mean, I'm like, I just want to do telepathy, dude. What you got for me? You know?
Shemsu, please listen, because I promise you, when you go to sleep tonight, he will be talking to you.
Baby.
The babies are talking right now. I
Yes, they are.
received so much beautiful messages. My niece is actually opening up, and different people around me are opening up, and I am really receiving all of these wonderful downloads. One of the things that I got present to is as a universal mom, which is different than an actual mom. I'm a telescoping or a universal mom, which means that my brothers and sisters have children, and those are my children. And I didn't bring children through my physical avatar this lifetime. And so when I started to look at the constellation of my children, well, Shemsu-t started speaking to me. The firstborn is my actual birth card. Wow. He said, I am you, auntie, right? And then the next born is financial responsibility. She said, please grow up, auntie. Get your finances together. And the next born says, when you get your finances together, you will be the king of diamonds, right?
Wow.
And then the next ones after that, 3 in a row, they're all king of clubs.
Wow.
They said you will be the king of your own suit, which I am a club. So get those things handled. Those are the things for you to get handled in this lifetime. And then after that, one after the other, you will be the master of your own fine distinctions, auntie. This is what my nieces and nephews came to teach me. Right? So this is what we can get present to. You see that your grandbaby came here to show you something. You see that your children are way showers and royalty in and of themselves. You see what you've drawn around you by the connections that you have in your family constellation. So this is the value of that.
So parents then who have never been exposed to either of these technologies, I want to bring it into a practical way for them. So they would get in touch with you and they would tell you the child's birthday or whatever, and you would give them significant information about the child. Does your cards your process tell them or provide guidance on what to do and how to take care of these children once they know what their card is, their birth card is?
Absolutely. There is levels to this. And at the very even at the level of information, there's so much inside of that. Just that basic first part of knowing what phase your child's soul is in will provide a lot. So that in and of itself will provide very much. And then at the very least, inside of a constellation connection that we could do, I could let you know that as a child, what does your child require? And also, so that's where I could even leave that, just knowing what your child really requires, right? And then also knowing what phase their soul incarnated in.
That's powerful. I know for myself, it you know, again, society has been so quick to demonstrate that if you don't have a mother, you don't have a father, you don't have money, you don't have this or that, then there's something wrong. When in truth, when you know who you are, you literally do, you attract to yourself all that you need. And you know, I did not have mother and father growing up. And so when I got to the age and got into this technology and began to meet so many amazing people, I really saw that if I would have had a mother and father, as Timothy said, they would have probably gotten in my way.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You're a king and queen inside of your own self. That means that your mother and father, you were your mother and father on the inside at your soul level.
Yeah.
So that lets you know there was never anything missing. You picked perfectly. And on top of that, you got the bonus. I remember you saying that the time that you remember of your mother being herself was the deepest love. That's how come you call your mom mommy.
Mm-hmm.
Every mother does not have a relationship where their daughter will call them mommy.
Yeah.
I call my mommy because there's a tenderness to that.
Yes. Yes, I remember
That's a
that.
tender love
Yes.
that you are in the experience of with your mom as you're calling her that.
Wow.
So you picked perfectly, and you got the bonus of having all of that concentrated love that has apparently lasted you a lifetime and then some.
Yes, yes, and
Because
then
you have
some.
so much love that you shared even with me. And I observed more than 200 Master Force coaches certified that you've shared your love freely with. That's a lot of love.
It's a lot of love. I am
It
so
is.
grateful. I want to open back up to Timothy now so we can actually begin to bring both of you inside of this conversation and make it more panelized, you know, and just really, you know, there's something about people who were raised inside of church and Christian tradition that when we start talking about astrology and destiny cards, there's some fear there. What can you say to them to let them know that this is nothing to be afraid of and the usefulness it is to the development of our soul and in the souls of our children?
Sure thing. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. As you know, again, I am an ordained minister. That never changes for me. My foundation is within the church. The thing is to research yourself. Don't make life judgments based off of somebody else's fear and insecurity about certain tools of transformation. That is the way that I was able to jump out of the mold and the fear of going over and beyond when it comes to spirituality from what I was used to. And I can relate to anybody because the reason I say do the research, especially I'm still a novice with the destiny cards. You guys are the masters with that, and Master Force is man, it's so awesome to just have you in that capacity to give that gift. So I'm still a novice in that. But from the area of astrology, if you research everything that's in astrology, that's how the church was built, you know, and without going too deep into it, you don't research the history of astrology and not find the church's foundation within that. You just got to know what you're looking at. And I want to take you guys, look, I tell anybody, I started speaking in the church when I was 15 years old, and I shifted later on in life, and I'm still here. Lightning hasn't struck me down. I'm still living a great life. I'm just awake and aware. Once you see, fear is the locked door of transformation. Fear is the last thing you must sacrifice in order to see the other side of yourself. Okay. And that's why, you know, even Jesus, before he could ascend, he had to first descend. If you read the scriptures, it talks about Jesus made his descension first into hell and released those who were trapped. Well, that's where you are. You know, that's where the chaos is. And that's why I like to look on the opposite side of the chart and see what their descendant is, because, you know, like my descendant is in Sagittarius. So I'm a Gemini rising. That Gemini is my ascendant. Before I can ascend as Christ, I must go through Sagittarius and learn how to put the brakes on the Ferrari. I got to learn that there are boundaries that, you know, I need to put the brakes on and need to slow down with. And that's my path, because if you know me, I've become a lot better. In my younger days, I didn't have any boundaries. Whatever I felt like doing, I did it. You know, and I, because of that, you guys even know a little bit of that story. I had to learn how to put the brakes on some of those things and not act off of impulse. Okay. So again, anybody who's involved with spirituality in church, research. And I want to kind of echo some things that Iccha talked about. The things we're doing, that's no accident. The experiences you're having, that's no accident. If you need something to solidify your standing with astrology or destiny cards, I suggest you research Carl Jung, a well-known psychoanalyst. You know, this is not some guy who's a new age guy, you know, who's out there with crystals and beads and stuff. This is a psychologist who found power in synchronicity. And through synchronicity, he understands that through astrology, through such tools and oracles such as destiny cards, there can't be an accident of what we're going through. These things are very meaningful if we just lay down the fear. You have to lay it down. Fear is not going to decide to just say, okay, I've been here long enough, I'm going to leave. You must let it go. That is the last stage of your initiation. Once you let the fear go, then the universe begins to flood you with opportunities of growth and will prove to you that you are safe all along.
Wow. That's powerful.
Oh, yes. Timothy, the way you shared that, thank you so much. It spoke so much to my soul. One of the things that I wanted to share about the destiny cards is the destiny cards are the book of time. When you look at a deck of cards, the deck of cards is 52 cards minus the Joker, right? There are 52 weeks in a year, right?
Yeah.
You have 12 court cards, and there are 12 months in a year. You also have 13 cards in each suit. So there are 13 weeks in each season.
Yes.
There are also 13 lunar cycles in a year. Okay, so there are 4 different suits, and there are 4 seasons in a year. So it is a template, an overlay over Natal, over nature, over Mother Nature herself, that we have an opportunity to look at and say, why did I choose this? I don't remember. So allow me to do what? Do the work of remembering myself, gathering myself together, and doing the self-initiative work of recalibrating my whole being. It's actually in a deck of cards.
And I think both of those systems traditionally came out of Kemet, came out of
absolutely.
Yeah. And it's just hidden knowledge that we haven't been privileged to.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so now let us talk a little bit now about what is it that parents would do if they wanted to have these readings done. And then, so, you know, I'm thinking about You know, sometimes you go to have something done and you tell your mother, you tell your grandmother or somebody, I'm going to have a reading done. And first thing they're going to say is, that's the devil's work. How can you really give the language to people to support themselves in having readings done?
Sure. Okay, I guess I'll go. And I'm going to be quick because I really can't wait to hear Iccha's reflection. I just like listening to her. You know,
I know, right? I like listening to both of you.
I'm just going to make this real quick. Well, the funny thing about it, that it really is the devil that's doing it, but not the devil with the horns and pitchfork. It is the ego or the accuser. You know, whenever you look into scripture, the accuser is the ego within you, that any move that you make, there's going to be accusations that that's not real in order for you to stay in the illusion, which is not real itself, right? So again, it's letting, again, I can't overemphasize this enough, letting go of the fear. The only devil that is at play is the one you look at in the mirror, and that is the only one that is hindering your progress of transformation. Once you conquer the one that you are witnessing in the mirror, then the universe unlocks its secrets to you and gives you everything that you need to work with. So again, and I'm very sensitive because I'm in a special place being an ordained minister myself. I can relate to people wherever they are. If you want to talk about, you know, the scriptures, then we can talk about what it really means when the scriptures talks about, in my Father's house are many mansions. I can look at an astrology wheel and tell you exactly what that means, you know. Or if you want to talk about, well, what is my ministerial duties as it relates to Kemet and ancient Egypt as astrology, I can deal with that too, because every sign has an ordained purpose. And I'm so glad that you brought about Kemet, because it's so much more than just looking at behavior.
Mm-hmm.
It is a priesthood. We are a priest within ourselves. You know, I'm looking at two wonderful priests right now. You know, our astrology really resonates with our duties to humanity. Again, not just, and let me just say this one time, and then I'm going to let it go. I think we overemphasize accuracy too much when it comes to astrology.
Yeah.
Because we lose ourselves in the accuracy. Okay, I know that, you know, you may be an annoying person. I found that out in astrology. You're so impressed that you're going to pay me hundreds of dollars just for me to tell you what you already know. It's way too much emphasis on accuracy. Accuracy is fine when it comes to confirmation, to ease your you know, you being a skeptic, and it kind of eases that through accuracy. But you want to pay me to tell you something that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I get excited, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then later life, as time goes on, confirmation, when confirmation can trust you, it will appear.
Wow.
Not before. As long as you walking on eggshells and remain a skeptic to the beautiful gifts of the universe, these things will remain hidden from you.
Mm-hmm.
And for good reason, you know. But don't get so caught up with accuracy, because accuracy is just such a small part of the puzzle when it comes to this work.
That's so true, Timothy. It's so many times that I would do something in life and know it as a truth for myself, and then I would go and read it in a book, and I'd be like, "Wow, I knew that already."
Right. Right.
You know, it was confirmation, and you know, it was already downloaded.
Yes.
Very cool.
That's because we think transformation is about entertainment, and it's not. You know, the work is never about entertainment. The work is so much about transformation. And even getting a reading done causes stages of initiation to take off on their own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you're caught up in the fear, then you're going to be like, that's God's way of telling me I messed up. I shouldn't have messed with this stuff. Or,
right.
or you can be brave and courageous and know that the process of awakening has begun, and it's a time to celebrate.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it
Because
is a
I
time
would
to
rather be in a
celebrate.
place I can see the resistance than suffer because of it.
That's true. That's true.
Come on, Iccha, I got to hear you.
Oh, wow.
I got my pen ready. I got my
Do you
pen ready.
know?
Yeah, and you know, so we're still talking about a person coming to get a reading from you. Their concern is that, you know, when they start telling people, they're going to be like, that's the devil's work.
Yes.
Mhm.
What would you say to them?
Wow. I would really encourage them to stand in their courage. Really, I would encourage them to stand in their courage. I have a very, very real connection with fear. And I want to say it this way. Let me say it this way. My gift, one of my gifts, is to be able to access courage. And so one of the things that we get to know is that one of the ways that you can access courage is by being presented with something that's going to cause growth. When you're presented with something that's going to cause growth, that means you have to move from one place to another place. Because of the beings that we are, there is nowhere to move to. We're creating it with each step. So basically, it means that you're stepping into something that does not exist. When we can't know in advance, that's what creates something, because our logical mind wants to be able to know that it is 1 and then 2 and then 3. But when you go to a Fibonacci sequence, or when you go to another sequence, you're going to count differently than that. If you're on a base 10 system, is different than a something else. I don't even know what that means. But what it basically honestly means is that there is some difference that you can't compute, and that's what's causing whatever this is that you're experiencing. Because one of the things that I recognize is that things are different. So is it fear or what is it? But either way, saying that to say, if someone is presenting and they're saying that, you know, I'm going to go and get this reading, and my auntie thinks that it's this or that, your auntie's life is her own. Your life is your own.
Yes.
You have to choose what you're going to do. It's I know that I can be very different a kind of way, but I'll say this: it is as simple as that. Choose.
Yeah, it is. And I think that part of the work that we're finding, those of us who are older and we have given birth to these rainbows, indigos, and crystals, they literally walk through fear and courage like it's non-existent. Like, you know, I was telling somebody, I said, you know, we still are so attached to death that these young people are coming in here and the world is not the way they want it. They go out because they can come back in.
Right.
And we by the time they get back, we still grieving. We haven't let go yet. And they're trying to show us that, listen, we're too attached to this 3D level. And they're playing us with it. You know, society has us stuck inside of this fear that we're being challenged to move beyond, to have the courage to choose, like you're saying, Iccha, and
Yes.
Timothy, like you're saying, to just really forget about the concern that we have on what the church says or the Bible says, because it really isn't as sinful. Well, I don't even like that word. It's not off kilter as we think.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's part of the process.
Well, Shemsu-t, I also want to say something, Timothy, that you said that really, I think it summed it up so well when you spoke about doing your research. Do the due diligence. Do your research. What are you reading? What does it mean? One of the things that I am so grateful for is the pastors that were at the church where I received my my initiation into Christianity. Pastors they held discipleship class. And so we took discipleship class. We studied. Oh, we studied.
Yes.
The love that I developed is what propelled me into knowing I have such a deep reverence and love for everything that I learned. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus.
Yeah.
If he said, this one got me put out, not literally, but kind of figuratively.
I got put out a few churches too, though.
Me too.
If he said that we would do greater things than he did, I know at the minimum, one of his miracles was walking on water.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I know also that one of his miracles was feeding a multitude.
Yes.
If I can do more than that, which infinitely I can and have, do the research.
Mm-hmm.
It says so. And this is the thing. I know that there may be thoughts about whether this or that tampered and this and that. We could play that game all over and then back again, and we would still not have exhausted all of those possibilities. The thing I will say is this. Timothy said it, do your research and be courageous.
Very cool. So before we end, I really, we always put together a special offer for our listening audience so that they could be able to receive your services at a discounted rate and give them an opportunity to connect with you individually. So why don't you all tell us what your offers are, and then after this, I'll make sure that we post them to the Ignite Your Soul Connection page on Facebook, and then they can contact you directly.
Mm-hmm.
Sure thing. Well, I want to make this offer, and when I tell you, if you're listening to this, this is a real gift. Please act on it. Okay, $50 for a chart for your child, and I'm going to do 2 charts, the parent and the child's chart, for just $100.
That is a gift.
Okay, and you know, it's closing in on almost 65-70% discount here. And I don't know how long I'm going to do this. You know, I'm kind of intuitive, this thing, and so don't procrastinate on it. Just, you know, you can inbox me through the Awakened Magi. If you're on Facebook, that page is welcome for you there. Just go to that page, shoot me an inbox, and let's set up some type of appointment. You may not want to get it done now, but we can discuss, you know, a time frame of when you would like to. Again, 50 for the babies. Can't wait to do I love doing the children's charts, you know, because we can get in front of some things they may not have to experience.
Yes.
We can get in front of those things. Some things you just, they got to go through. Okay, we
That's
understand
right.
that.
Yeah.
And then to combine those charts for I'm just going to do it for $100. Again, that is my offer and gift to the listeners here, and especially the supporters of this wonderful gift called Master Force. So happy to do it, and I thank you for the space to even be able to do it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your gift. I know we did that the day that my youngest son was born. He just made 22. We had his chart done immediately.
Yes.
And in his chart, there were 6 houses in Gemini. And we knew right then, you know, yeah, he's on his own. We just got to love him and take care of him, clothe him, because you can't, you know, Gemini, they came here knowing. He knows, you know. And then I had all that Saturn. His daddy is a Capricorn. So he was just like, yeah, we thank you for the house, the shelter, and the food. Bye.
There you go. On your own, right? Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, you could destroy a child like that if you don't know.
Absolutely.
Crush them, and they would, you know, they couldn't last in this lifetime. So
true.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Iccha, what do you have?
Yes. What I am offering at this time is for you to receive a reading for your family constellation. Your family constellation would include a family of 5, and it would be $45. There would be $10 for each additional. And so that would include aunties and grands and babies, moms and aunties and uncles, whoever is close to your family and you consider a part of your family constellation. What I was imagining was that it would be some form of a family, a blended family, 3 children, 2 guardian parent type people, and then 2 elder type people that you might want to have a reading for. And the first 5 would be that 45, and then the additional 2 would still get you in at a very good rate. Just like Timothy said, this is an intuitive offering for myself. I actually am doing this as a gift for the Ignite Your Soul Connection audience only. And so, you know, by observing this video, you can go to the Alchemist's Daughter and inbox me, and we can get you set up to do that work. Okay.
And that the Alchemist's Daughter and the Awakened Magi are both on Facebook, so you can find the information. And again, we're going to post those offerings on the Ignite Your Soul Facebook page, and so you can find them there too. And I just want to thank you for being so present and beautiful tonight. I just love you guys. Wow. What any last words that you want to say to our audience, and how can we do something for you? You're just so amazing in my world.
Shemsu-t, I will say you have done so very much, and I'm sitting in a lot of gratitude in this moment, and I'm grateful also for our community of Master Force. The Master Force community is one of the most beautiful, supportive communities that I've had an opportunity to be a part of. And I know some really outstanding people. So that's really saying much for me to say that. Mm-hmm. And Timothy, especially you and your wife and the Light family have really been a beacon for me and a safe haven, even, even just in your energy, because you're not even where I'm at, but you where I'm at. So thank you very much. So for me, I'm sitting in a lot of gratitude. Shemsu-t, I'm also grateful that you and I are going to be together for the rest of this week doing this work. So
yes. Each is my co-host the rest of the week. So I love that.
Mm-hmm. So I just want to echo that. Again, thank you guys for the space, this wonderful work that you do. It's so needed right now because of the transitions that are taking place. And especially, we talked about a little bit about this Neptune being retrograded on my page and on the Awakened Magi. It's now a time to just really unplug, to really unplug and make a choice. Either we're going to believe someone else's version about ourselves, or we're going to believe our own right now. Wow. And right now, there, so many adults here. I'm so glad you brought up the fear of these tools, because it's amazing that you can be 40, 50, 60 years old and still don't believe the version of yourself. We still believe the version of somebody else who criticized our gifts at the age of 10 and 15, 18, and we're still stuck there. But I believe tools such as Master Force, and I'm going to tell anybody, if you're listening, if you're interested in becoming an intuitive coach that gives you a real handle on life, a real handle, contact Master Force tonight, please, because it's the best move that you'll ever make. I promise you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Timothy.
Yes.
And I'm going to invite you guys to continue with us this week as we talk about New Earth Children. Tomorrow night, we have Nene Thompson and Alanda Gregory, and we're talking about what is true education.
Mm.
And inside of the New Earth children, we have got to change. We have got to. We have too many children going to prison. And Timothy, you gave a wonderful explanation about Pluto. Oh, I just, I'm going to do a lot of work around that, inside of that, and see what kind of programs we can create to support that notion right there. So thank you for that. And so I'll look forward to you guys tomorrow evening. And again, thank you, Timothy and Iccha, and have a great evening. I love you.
Love you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.